Happy New Year, wild ones. Ow! Welcome back to Artists in the Wild. I am Trixie Little. This is your retrospective on 2025. We are going back to dig out the gold from last year because it was really hard. It was kind of hard to see and hold on to the gold. So instead of getting all swept up in resolutions and diets and dumb crap like that, I can't stand this time of year for replanning my life. It just makes zero sense. It's Capricorn season. This is like mountain goat. This is like hard lessons, climbing the mountain. It's like austerity. It makes more sense to be doing what I'm doing, which is abstaining from alcohol and marijuana for the month and just taking a sober January and refocusing on myself, my body, and having some discipline around it. Aquarius season is a much better time to start planning the future. So I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm going to take this time, the rest of Capricorn season, which is like 2/3 the way through January, to go back and get the gold, y'all. I feel like I started to go down this dark shame spiral mid-December because of how difficult life has been. Those of you who've been watching for a while, you know that I chose to just kind of tough it out here in Northern California, the place that I love so much, in Nevada City, which is not Nevada, it's not a city, and it is a big gentrified, crazy mountain town with a lot of complex dynamics, and it's very challenging. And so I've been living partially in my truck, partially through the grace of friends who let me couch surf, and just kind of going back to being a little bit of a gypsy, which I haven't done since my younger days when I was performing more. The difference now, though, is that things have been so challenging, and I lost my studio in 2023, and so the people of this town haven't seen my art very much. Barely at all. They don't really know me. When I was a gypsy performer, people knew me. They were happy. They wanted me to come. They wanted to be around me. They wanted to know what was going on with me because they liked my work. And I don't even have really the benefit of that very much out here. So it feels like I'm living very close to the bone, and it just, it started to really bring me down. It's like by everybody's standards, including many people in my family, I'm a failure. I'm 51 years old. I don't have steady income. I'm not married. I don't have children. I don't own property. And I still feel like I'm just trying to get back up on my feet. Partly, it's like been a 10-year cycle since getting divorced, and then I got canceled, which, caused a huge separation from the creative community that I had invested like 15 years of my life in, possibly more, depending on how you count it. And then moving cross country, getting canceled again, losing the people out there because I push back on the woke stuff, push back on the Me Too crap, push back on a lot of stuff. It seems like I'm always kind of defending dudes in my community or the former community. I don't even have a community that I would consider anymore right now. I've just been trying to rebuild one. So that's the mission. We're working on a re-enchantment of the real world and, a more balanced world, integrated better with nature. We need to get back to it, back to our innate divine connection to Mother Earth, like our tether, our spiritual tether to the planet, which makes us a reflection of her and her a reflection of us, and is also our connection to source, to God. And spending that time finding that connection again and maintaining it through the hard times is what's gotten me through. I mean, it's been an act of faith and just extreme like grit. I've just pushed through, and I have created some things in the past year that are actually career milestones, and I almost was like skipping past them. I was like, okay, yeah, January, like time to reset, calendar's flipping over, okay, here we go. And I was like, stop. I've been working on getting away from the linear time and from what the overculture has said, and detoxing from the lies, and trying to be really honest with you all as it keeps going, and it still is going. So it's like taking those hits of being like, dang, that, like I say that 2025, that Venus retrograde, I lost the Beatles because I went down that rabbit hole finding out what was going on with them, and just found out like that they were basically actors, in a social engineering experiment, literally run by eugenicists and Nazis. It's like, this shit's crazy, and it just keeps going. And then, I don't know. I'm so grateful also this year. I just want to give a shout out to Professor Jiang, Chinese history professor on YouTube, for honestly relaxing me with the truth. Truth, I always say, even when it's hard to swallow, it relaxes my gut. It's like, whew. Okay, well now at least I know. So facing the truth, and then each time you take one of these hits, it's like you have to mourn, you have to grieve. It literally is a physical thing that leaves your body, a thing you're holding on to, or a thing that was, inserted into us, all these beliefs. So I've spent so much time trying to unwind myself and pull out of these systems. I've quit many of the scrolling apps. I've been off Amazon. I've been off Netflix. I've been off a social media. I left permanently for good, finally, for the third time. That was in 2024. And then this year I left Spotify. And that was really hard. You can read more about this in my Substack. I just posted something also related to this episode, which I consider to be kind of a retrospective. However, we are also moving into what I would consider a critic phase for this, because I have to go back and review all of my own videos. It's very hard to watch yourself, first of all. It's very hard for me to edit myself. But if you all remember from a past episode called the Realist phase, that the critic phase has to come next. So we go from dreamer to realist to critic, and this is Walt Disney's creative process. And those three do not interfere with each other. There's a time and a place for each one, and they are distinct. Okay, so I'm now in a critic phase. I'm going back and I'm looking and I'm slicing, I'm looking at how I'm presenting this, what I'm presenting. If you recall, I spent a lot of time doing what I called scuttlebutts. I'm not sure, I struggle because I have my own vernacular. And although I think it's, part of my creativity to use words in that way, I recognize that because I've chosen to remain on two platforms, YouTube and Substack are what's left. I am obviously collaborating with those algorithms still, and despite being in active resistance to AI taking over any creative work whatsoever, it's a direct threat to me and my livelihood. So, and I don't find it fun or amusing. I mean, even it's like, I hate when people unconsciously, just even on social media, would steal from me, which happened all the time. It's people are very unaware of just how many images they're taking in and keeping track of the source of those. But as an artist, I mean, I kind of have to, and it's not that we all aren't interrelated and influencing each other. We are, but it should be more of a conversation. It should be more of it takes it off on a different road. It shouldn't be like a retread of the same thing. So when, all those images are being sourced from somewhere, and I don't appreciate, that's one reason I left social media also. I mean, aside from all the trolls coming for me every time I got canceled and just loving the smell of blood in the water like sharks, I was like, I'm tired of being stolen from here. People were stealing my ideas, and I hadn't made any money off of it myself. When you get big enough that you're in the mainstream, I think it's okay to sort of like, do your tributes and do direct impersonations, but mimicry is what babies do to learn. you know? And so it's really just an infantile stage of creativity that I just expect more. I'm an artist. I've been at this a long time. My creativity is everything to me. And, you know, being in nature, again, choosing to be out here and not live in a city primarily, has been a choice because it refills my cup to reconnect to nature, which is, you know, it's an external way to connect to source, to the unified field of consciousness, to everything, to what is real and true, to find God. And so nature is a very, very surefire way to find that connection again. On the outside, you go out into it to find it. However, creativity is a way that I find it on the inside. And then I just let it come out of me. And I maintain my life, my body, my mind, everything in a certain way, a little bit outside the system, so that I can receive that creativity and bring it out. And so that's kind of an internal way to be with God, and one I value very much. And so, and these things have been so hard. I mean, those are the two things I've been trying to do, you know, it's like live in nature and just be creative, do my art and share my work. I also mentioned in another episode this year that it was kind of an overlooked episode because maybe it was a little dry, but I laid out my philosophy for my life purpose, which is, and my mission. It is a re-enchantment of the real world. We need to bring all this back online so that we can understand. We hear the animals, the trees can communicate to us, and, you know, all these things. The reason you do even ayahuasca and all this stuff, which, you know, I did in 2024, excuse me. You know, you get your marching orders and you have to take action. It's like you're enlisted then in God's army. You know, you're like, all right, I heard the call. Because I can hear the call, I'm obligated to take action. Not obligated, I have a responsibility that I rise to and accept. And it's cost me everything. I'm hoping it all evens out eventually. So I laid this plan out where it goes from the re-enchantment of the world to a renaissance, which is a rebirth of the culture. Culture comes after the renaissance. Culture is the soil our consciousness grows in. It's literally the dreams. It's the dream material that we expand reality with. This is what real artists give us. They are pushing the limits of what we think is possible. And they do that through images, through storytelling, through music, through words, through all those channels, which is another reason I don't want mine artificialized. I like it organic and human. I'm into being 110% raw meat woman. I like it. I like being human. I like being a woman. I like my life. I like exploring this world. And it feels threatened. So here I am, trying to work on rebuilding the culture. How do we do that? We each do it through our own means. Everything can be an art. We do it through the arts. Everything can be an art if you approach it that way. And that's what I'm trying to offer here on this channel. I do something very different than a lot of what I see. I'm not giving a lot of PowerPoint presentations or whatever, or like Canva. I'm not giving a lot of Canva presentations or, you know, bulleted lists or do this, or I figured out the solution for that and you should do this. Fuck that shit, you guys. It's like you can grab onto one little nugget and think you have it figured out, and then 2 seconds later, it's like life is just throwing you back in the mud and it doesn't matter. What I show you is me working through life in real time. I show more than I feel comfortable showing, to be honest. And that's a choice that I make because I want honesty. I think the real world is fascinating, stranger than fiction. It is the fiction. And I'm enjoying uncovering it. I'm trying to enjoy it. So, yeah, I was hoping this wouldn't be a long episode, but fuck it. It just is. It was hard for me to go back, like I said, and edit. But we are in the critic phase. So what I'll say about my experience of being on YouTube, you know, I started out with the best intentions, just thinking, oh, it's going to be so easy. Everyone has a phone. You can just go and do it. And, you know, but I have an aging laptop. She's from 2015. I have an iPhone 12. That's pretty cracked. I have iMovie. I edit in iMovie. So I'm using some pretty crude, basic, by most standards, means to distribute this channel. And every time I have tried, I mean, I've spent hours, days probably, listening to people on YouTube about how to do YouTube. And that's another thing I didn't want to do. I don't want to present a mirror, looking into a mirror. I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to give a slice of real life, a real but different life. My life is different. I live differently because I'm a weird bohemian gypsy artist. And fuck off if you're going to act like that's a insult. We're done. We're done with that. Okay? I've really had it with the woke shit. I'm just, man, you guys, it's gotta stop. Even a couple months ago, I set out to really push the growth of my channel, to take the advice of some of the YouTube people that I was hearing her like, okay, you wanna grow your channel quick? You wanna do this? And I'm like, yes, I need this to start working. And I'm not convinced that the algorithms are gonna let me. So I also just need to know that soon. You know, rejection's always protection. A no is a gift, because at least you can move on instead of wasting time continuing to try. I had a couple of moments, you know, a couple months ago. I was like, okay, it's do or die time. Shit or get off the pot, you know, like, let's go. Is this going to work or not? I need to know just for myself. So I set, you know, I took someone's, you know, plan of when to time and stagger and to really push your production. And I was doing really good until I think it actually was a Mercury retrograde. I'm pretty sure it was just everything was like, it just all stopped working. Nothing was going. And I had to pause and be like, okay, like just grinding it out, moving forward. I mean, that's just like kind of creating empty content. And I was like, that's really not what I'm doing. You know, I do artist chats, which I called Scuttlebutts. I'm not sure that name helps me on YouTube. You know, I might just start calling Scuttlebutts artist chats because that's what they are. I like having my own vernacular because I'm creative with words. My 3 artistic superpowers are performing, painting, and writing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start just like amping it up. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to try to follow the advice and I'm going to stick to it and no matter what and just see what happens. And of course it sputtered out like right when it was supposed to ramp up and I was supposed to go into like something insane, like 4 videos a week or something. And I was just like, you know, I'm doing these edited videos with music. I have to go and find copyright-free music. I have to have something worth filming. I've got to be working on something that has a progression that you can see progress on. And I was just like, oh, like I just stopped and I was like, okay, you know, I'm not trying to push the river here. I'm trying to flow with it. So And that's what I keep doing. I'm just like, okay, find the flow. Can you find the flow? Yes, I can persist and force, but hustle culture and the grind and the materialist consumer world that I am really trying to get my senses back from, it's like I can't do that anymore. I gotta listen. Slow my little ass down and listen. I wasn't sure when that happened. I was like, is this the sign that it's not working? Is this a sign that just leave it? It's over. It's not, everyone else is having a better success because they're just doing talking head videos. They're just like, you know, offering advice, doing tutorials, using YouTube as a school, which is great. It's not that I'm not teaching you. You might not realize it. I consider myself a spiritual teacher because I study spirituality. I have for over 25 years and I use it. And also because I'm an artist. It's like how it works. I mean, it's like a monastic kind of a job being an artist. And if I could be anything else in this lifetime, I would. I can't just go back to normie society, you guys. When you get your wits back, you get your intuition back, you can't, your soul is like, oh, hell no. It rebels from the inside, it starts turning your gut in knots, you start getting sick. It's like an immediate physical fuck no. So everyone who's always just like, just get a job, you're degenerate, which I heard a lot of this year. Friendships ended over crap like that because they felt like I was just a failure. I have to keep picking myself back up, dusting myself off, and being like, don't listen. Don't listen. Listen on the inside. So I keep doing that. I keep coming back and listening on the inside. Because partly what I'm offering is the opportunity to process with me. I'm taking you along as I'm reflecting on the year and the hardship of waking up. And not everybody wants to wake up. A lot of people have received way more benefits of what one YouTube channel calls Satan's little season. And even recognizing that technology was designed for malicious control over us also. So I'm not sure that we'll be able to stay on it the same way. Of course, I like and enjoy technology, but when push comes to shove, I'm going to choose nature and creativity in myself and protecting it. When I look back at the episodes that I've shown you, it may seem all over the map. My intention is that it feels like you're just hanging out with a friend. And, you know, so when we have a chat, it's like we're catching up. When I'm bringing you along and cooking in the kitchen, I'm making you a meal, trying to feed you here, feed your head, feed your heart, feed your loins. Remember those? I'm not forgetting how important sexuality is, but it's not the same that it was. It's not about polyamory and spreading it around. I'm a big believer in partnership and monogamy. You know, and not that every relationship has to be like that. It's like you can date for a while. Like I'm not, whatever, do what you want. But for me, a healthy, expressed, responsible sexuality is something I'm defining for myself all the time. And I try to put it out there because I'm like, yeah, I'm spiritual and sexual, and it's part of it. It's part of my spirituality, and it's part of who I am. It's part of why we have these bodies. It's part of the joy of being human and being alive, is being sexual, being intimate, sensual, romantic. These things are important to me. I always say that, you know, I chose sex and comedy for like my performing work. Like that's really what it's about, because laughter is the best medicine. And, you know, sex makes it go down really good. It's like, just because it's sacred doesn't mean it has to be serious. And actually, I think the serious stuff is our mind and our ego. I think the laughter and the humor and the bliss of it all is spirit, more our soul, like who we really are. And so I try to stay in close contact with who this soul is inside of here. These are the things that I show on the channel, right? Is the life stuff. I've had to do a lot of things, a lot of space clearing, because what artists need is time and space. I always need a workshop. So I spent over a year in Baltimore working on a friend's house by myself. He doesn't live there. And it's a big historic house in my old stomping grounds, my old neighborhood of Fells Point in Baltimore. Fixing up his house, making it livable for me, improving it for him, trying to just set up a workshop. And it took me a year, believe it or not. Kind of categorized the episodes as seasons, but that's really just for my own keeping track of the time. But I might start just numbering the episodes. I'm not sure. This is partly what I'm trying to figure out is how it's going to work best for the viewer. I've found that as I go back through all these videos, and I've had to really clean up just even how I organize in my hard drive, because I've had such little space. I've had to be very tight on what I'm saving. Shout out to George for the new hard drive. You're going to be bringing us in to the new year, the new season. A lot easier. I won't have to be so conservative on my space. But I had to just look at what I'm calling these, because I'm showing you so many different things. Some of the things are behind the scenes, right? Me getting ready for shows, me working on paintings, me fixing up whatever place I'm staying in, making food, which is always creative and just a big part of my health and my spirituality, and just taking care of myself, that ultimate self-care. I do believe food is my main medicine. And just sharing all of my spiritual wisdom with you guys through these artist chats, through just talking to you, having conversation. When I got canceled the first time, they kept saying, I made the mistake. It was 2017. We didn't have the word cancel back then. P.S. I was an early casualty of this. And I made the mistake of defending myself, partly to work it through in my own mind. And I'm a writer, right? It was when I first realized, I was like, oh, I shouldn't. Yeah, I want to write and work through my ideas, but let me get a blog to do that. I don't need social media to do that. Because I wanted social media to be more. I wanted it to be a place where deep thinking was done. And it just wasn't. And so when I tried to do that, you know, the backlash was intense. And one of the things they said was just that, you know, it's all about me. It's like no one cares, you know. And I would share my stories because that was my confirmation about what I was saying being true. Because direct experience to me means more than anything you read in a book. And so I love hearing people's stories and experiences. I think people are fascinating and weird and unpredictable and also universal. So I share that. I share my personal stories as a way of sharing my experience, which is my ultimate confirmation. These aren't just ideas. Ideas are like toilet paper, honestly. So I'm thinking a lot about how to use my channel best. I'm looking at myself. I use this process a lot of creating videos for you to grow myself. I grow a lot by doing this for y'all. And I'm really grateful for that. It's very humbling. It feels very vulnerable. It's scary a lot because I've been canceled so many times. I've lost so much. I mean, including my livelihood. I mean, and my trade, my art, my passion. You know, it's like I was not able to go back to my old creative community that I helped build, that I was a big part of, that I call those people my chosen family and stuff, you know. And the toxicity of the woke crap, the relentlessness of social media, the pace of things, just I'm just different now, and I've been hurt a lot, and I've had to keep getting back up and speaking anyway, because of my faith. Like I said, I feel like I have a responsibility to, as an artist, as a human being, as a maker of culture. I hope to inspire you to be truly you, to do the same. I wouldn't wish what I've been through on anyone. Being canceled, you know, it's taken me so long to heal. and literally to keep speaking out, to keep telling my truth. When a lot of people want to stay asleep, and so they react to me like a demon just entered the room. They're like, no, you know, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to change anything. And I get it. But what are we here to do? Life is an adventure. Why are people choosing passivity over passion? Do you remember passion? It's way better. It's way better. I'm using this channel to do something different. You know, I'm not just like doing off-grid stuff. I do a little bit of that. I'm not just doing nature stuff. There's a little bit of that. I'm not just doing building projects. There's a little bit of that. I'm not just doing art, although there's a little bit of that. I'm not just doing performing. There's a little bit of that. You know, it's like I'm doing so many things. And so the critic in me is like, okay, is it time to focus? Everyone says focus, niche down. It's time, you know, you got to be really super specific. Why? Because people are stupid. Like, I'm not talking to basic bitches anymore. I'm talking to y'all, you know, and I hope that we're all the same curious, like beginner's mind with wisdom. You know what I mean? I feel like I want to say some more about the getting canceled part, because I don't think that anyone else has to go through that. You know, another reason I share my experience is to save people the hassle. You know, I mean, yeah, you can go and find out for yourself, or you can listen to someone else who's been through stuff, you know. But I also believe that it's changing. I think nowadays, if people got canceled or those friends left or the job fired you or whatever, it would be seen as a blessing. because most of us who's been really harshly canceled and whose lives were like truly royally fucked up from it, like mine, also see the gift, the liberation from toxic people, from people that did not have your best interest in mind, who are really, I mean, materialism to me is very, very toxic to be around. It's, you know, the pursuit of money above all things prevents people from common decency, from generosity, from the kind of community and reciprocal culture that I'm dreaming of, that I'm using my fire to bring into the world. Like, I don't enjoy always having to be the one who's like, that's not true. I mean, or I just see a different truth. I noticed for a long time I was straddling both worlds, believing, and I still am, being on YouTube and Substack, you know, I'm still, it's not like I'm totally out here. I'm just not on social media, so I do feel very alone, and it's very hard to sell furniture without Marketplace, but fuck that, man. I'd rather have a bulletin board somewhere. I think it's important to strip it back to brass tacks before going forward, to really look at these, what we're addicted to, which systems we're allowing into our life. I felt like a demon leave my body every time I've left these things. I've gotten physically ill. So that means that I probably still have one attached by virtue of the ones that I participate in. But I can watch it differently when there's less of them. So I can observe, I can see my own tendencies within it, see how it's manipulating me a little bit better. But will there come a time where we can't straddle both tracks? Possible. It's possible. So why not practice abstinence to know that you can endure, go without some things for a time, practice. It's austerity practice. Yoga taught me that. Any spiritual tradition will teach you that. Fasting, that sort of thing. But it's a spiritual fast to take a break from these things. But it could also be a spiritual break leading to a breakthrough. In some ways, I feel the channel floundering because maybe I'm trying to do too much, because I'm not focusing, because I'm letting myself be multi-layered, multi-skilled, because we are many things. Like there are many strata, many different channels, layers, frequencies, whatever you want to call it, to who we are. I've spent a good deal of time getting to know mine, to pulling out the threads that make me up and appreciating them, refining them, polishing them so that I can shine brighter. And I mean, all the time, I want to be around other people that have done that for themselves, where you're not a traumatized child anymore. You're not reacting to the world like a traumatized child. Yes, I'm still very youthful. Yes, I give my inner child a lot of room. But there's a difference between being childlike and childish. So I'll hold on to childlike. You know, that's the beginner's mind. That's the everything is always new. That's the staying open. That's the curiosity muscle. That's the most important. Whether you're an artist, a spiritual seeker, anything. Curiosity is important. Because how do you know unless you go to the edges, you know? I know what I know because I've, by most people's standards, failed so hard. A lot. When I look back at 2025, it's like, it breaks my heart because like I see the pain in myself. Like the fear of like what's going to happen to me. That's a future fear. Also, who's going to react to me? Like what's coming that I don't see? You know, it's like that fear of continuing on, of with the solitude that I've had, with the poverty I've endured, with just, you know, everything being so inverted, your best intentions being completely turned into something fucked up. You know, we can't control what people do with our work or our love. And just feeling very misunderstood and very attacked. And like I see a lot of that fear in me, and the urgency that I had to speak about stuff. To find more people. To find my tribe again. To gather us together again. I mean, we'll never stop working on ourselves, you know, but a lot of people are just staying in the state of healing instead of just making it an integrated part of your life. I mean, that's why I'm really proactive about my health. This is what yoga and Ayurveda have really trained me to do so beautifully. You know, you go out and meet it. You don't wait for it to happen to you. It's like, I'm not waiting for an illness to consider my health. I consider my health all the time. You know, I go through periods of detoxing. I go through periods of total indulgence. You know, like that's part of my program too, is to enjoy life. Yeah, drink too much, smoke too much, whatever. You know, it's like I don't do that much anymore, and I never even did that much to begin with. Like, I didn't do a lot of those drugs ever, you guys. And I'm not sorry about it. Like, I don't like chemical dependencies in myself, you know, and whatever. It's like I've just been looking for the other people and trying to find us again, and also living by example of how I think it should go, which is just like figuring out in real time every day, showing up with lipstick and a smile. That's sometimes the best we can do. It was a hard year, you guys. It's still hard. I was sleeping in my truck last night, and it's just like, it's cold. It's not that I'm cold. It's just that it's like, it's cold. You know, I have some protection and blankets, but the temperature regulation and what, you know, the difference between under the sleeping bag and the outside temperature, it's intense. So like, it's just been hard. And I needed personally to take time and go back and look at all of this. Look at what I've been doing. Clean it up a little bit, you know, and maybe I can focus it a little bit. I don't know how. I'm going to continue sharing my life with all of its weird quirks and nooks and crannies, and going from Baltimore to Nevada City. And I'll always have to go back to Baltimore because my family's there. So, you know, that project's going to continue. But I've, in the last few months, recommitted to living the majority of my life out here on the West Coast in Northern California, a place that fills my heart so much. And I'm really hoping I can figure out a way to just make life more comfortable so that I can share my creativity even more. Imagine if I could actually, have a proper place to sleep and I could just get up and go to work instead of having to run around all the time right now. But it's just how it is right now. So much for being the critic, huh? I really was long-winded on this one, but like I said, I'm grateful to this experience. Even if I have to walk away from YouTube and from Artists in the Wild and everything, I'm grateful to those of you who watch. Very grateful. And I've appreciated this experience and this way to process my life. It's different than just like writing in a journal, or I had a podcast before too. It's like a very visual and very wordy. But I want to show you, what another life looks like, I just want to inspire you to prioritize creativity, to do the work. I mean, there's a lot of healing work. There's a lot. I've done a lot of work on myself for years. And like I said, it's not that the work stops. It's just that it becomes part of living. You get quicker at recovery. And that's alchemy, that's turning shit to gold. And that's really a superpower. And that's, I guess, really what I'm teaching. Resiliency. I didn't think I'd cry like this, but oh, we're here, whatever. Yeah, so 2025 was like one of the hardest years of my life, but it was also filled with major achievements. I made 2 one-woman shows, which I'd never done in my life before. I'd avoided doing one-woman shows my whole life. I'd avoided doing outdoor family shows. I'd avoided doing Renaissance fairs. All of that changed this year, and I created some great visual art that I'm proud of. I just really want to take these weeks to celebrate my achievements. I think fighting off the fear of failure and the judgments of other people and the rejection of other people and the misunderstanding and all of that took really tremendous internal strength for me this year, but I'm just getting faster at it, or I'm able to just create anyway, to live anyway, even if it's not for anybody else to see or enjoy or ever know. It's like just for me. So yeah. And that's the main thing with this channel, is I've tried to just make it realistic. Something I can bring along with me that's portable and positive, that adds to my life, that adds to your life, that gives more than it takes. I guess we'll see what the critic has to say at the end, but I'm going to put together compilation. It's probably gonna be in 2 episodes of some highlights from 2025. So I hope you enjoy this process as much as I do. Thank you for being here with me. Thanks for keeping it real. Many blessings for a really passionate, successful 2026. It's filled with fun, laughter, and the right amount of healing. No more, no less than is needed. Whew, gosh, you guys. Okay,